All right, we're gonna keep moving with these teams. Keep being super slow with them, I'm telling you. But I'm getting there, getting there. I hope you guys do watch my show. I hope that I do have some more supporters and all that. I really do like it. I really do. I would appreciate more people watching, seeing if they actually like it or not. Because it does take a lot of time to do these videos, relatively. So I don't know. I'd appreciate it if someone would to tell me if they do enjoy it, whether they agree with me or disagree with me. Just let me know. That would be a very good heads up. Anyway, we're gonna take a look at the next franchise, the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns is a fairly old team. They got established in June 4th of 1944, so 73 years of the team being there. Their first official season was 1946. As of right now, they play in the First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio, and they're headquartered in the Cleveland Browns Training and Administrative Complex in Berea, Ohio. Honestly, you got to look all the way back. They were a part of the All-America Football Conference from 1946 to 49 and was specifically in the Western Division of 1946 to 1948. Moved to the National Football League from 1950 pretty much to the present. Made their way to the American Conference 1950 to 52 and to the Eastern Conference from 1953 to 1969. Moved on to the Century Division from 1967 to 1969. And then once the AFC and NFC started merging, they got the AFC. They've been in the AFCs from 1975 to 1995, and then again from 1999 to now. They were in the AFC Central from 1970 to 1995 and 1999 to 2001. And they moved to the AFC North in 2002 and have stayed there since. So long history with this team overall. Their team colors are brown, orange, and white. Their mascot is Chomps Swagger Brownie the Elf, apparently. I'm not sure if that's a thing or not. The owner, they have two, Jimmy Haslam and Dee Haslam, along with President Paul D. Podesta, with GM John Dorsey, and head coach as of right now is Hugh Jackson. Team history, they've been the Cleveland Browns from 1946 to 95, and then 1999 to present, and then they were suspended. There were suspended operations from 1996 to 1998, so they didn't really have a team, apparently. It's not apparent, but you know what I mean. They've had 8 league championships as a franchise. They've won 4 AAFC championships, 1946 to 49, and they won 4 NFL championships, 1950, 54, and 55, and 64. We all know Jim Brown was very popular. Now, in terms of the modern era, in terms of Super Bowls, we're going to get to that, but they have won 11 conference titles. In the NFL American, they won from 1950 to 52, and the NFL Eastern Division, they won in 1953 to 55, and 57, 64, 65, 68, and 69, as well as 12 division championships. In the AAFC Western, they won it from 1946 to 48. In the NFL Century, they won it from 1967 to 69. And in the AFC Central, they won it in 1971, 1980, 85 to 87, and then 89. And the playoff appearances, there's been 28 of them. They're in the AAFC from 1946 to 49. And then in the NFL, they made the playoffs from 1950 to 55, and then 57, 58, 64, 65, 67 to 69, 71, 72, 80, 82, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 1994, and 2002. So they have not been in the playoffs for about 15 years now, and they definitely won't be in the playoffs again this year. And they played in the Cleveland Stadium from 1946 to 1995, moved to the First Energy Stadium in 1999, have stayed there since. So this is Cleveland sports. They don't get much luck, unfortunately. This is a fantastic. I don't know. In my opinion, it's a unique kind of fan base. It's a unique team. There's just not much luck with this team. They haven't been to the Super Bowl. They haven't won a Super Bowl. Like I said, we were going to get to that. Well, they haven't even been to a Super Bowl. So it's kind of hard when you see that they haven't even been to a Super Bowl ever. You may win NFL championships, but now it's the Super Bowl. It's the biggest thing. So you don't get there. That's a problem. And I know the fans are dying for them to get there. Every team will get there eventually. I believe so, but you really never know. But for right now, Cleveland is the laughingstock for a lot of people. I just feel really bad. I really do hope that they can kind of shut everyone up, as well as myself, of feeling bad and being like, whoa, yeah, okay, they're talented, they can go far. And, well, like I said, these are going to be the best Cleveland Brown players of all time. Maybe they can go far with this team. All right, we start with quarterback Bernie Kosar. Anyone that's in Cleveland, everyone knows who Bernie Kosar is. Bernie Kosar is, well, I would say he's one of those saviors kind of guy. He's one of those guys that brought Cleveland football to a pretty good place in the 80s. Honestly, they had the ability of getting to a possible Super Bowl. We all know about that championship game that we all know, John Elway, the comeback, But, I mean, this is Bernie Kosar. This is a guy that had a pretty solid Cleveland Browns team, honestly. He was a Pro Bowler, and he was a Super Bowl champion. He was a Super Bowl champion with the Dallas Cowboys, so was playing, obviously, on that reserve. But this is a guy that, at one point was very special. He was doing things just, he was a great leader, and he was a great player, great competitor. And then once he moved out of that scenery in Cleveland, he just started to kind of decline. Pretty much his last year in Cleveland, along with just moving around, he just wasn't the same anymore. But this was a guy that could throw for pretty much 3,500 plus yards. A guy that can throw almost 4,000 yards a season. This had potential of being an MVP, of being a Super Bowl champion, honestly, a Super Bowl leader. So Bernie Kosar had some fantastic numbers, had some fantastic comebacks, some fantastic game-winning drives. Like I said, game-winning, just mentality. He's got that in him. He brought him to, like I said, to a good stage in Cleveland's life where they had the ability of winning a Super Bowl, of course. So he gave him that opportunity. And honestly, I think you just got to put this guy on here. He is the best quarterback out of all the Cleveland quarterbacks, which has been a lot. So good to see one that's going to be very stable. I think Kosar will be that. If you see him in his prime, I think he'll be that. All right, well, we're going to run a fullback and a running back set. And the fullback is going to be Jim Brown because he had the ability of playing fullback and a running back. So I'm going to put him at his fullback position. I'm going to put him at his most dominant he's ever done, a guy that has rushed pretty much in 8 years over 12,000 plus yards. I would say one of the best football players ever. He is one of the best football players ever in the sport. So having one of the best players ever in the sport on your team, it's going to provide a lot of skills. It's going to provide a lot of wins. It's going to provide a lot of leadership. He has that in him. Fantastic guy, human-wise, activist, everything you want. Just fantastic. Three-time MVP, a one-time NFL champion. He's been an 8-time All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler. He's a Hall of Famer, of course. He is, like I said, definitely one of the best of all time, ever, in any position. He can dominate it. He can just dominate. You can give him the football, and he's going to dominate. He's going to truck people, and he's going to get those key yards you need. He was a part of those all 1960s team, that decade team there. This is a valuable man, and I think having Kosar and you're going to have Jim Brown together, some good stuff is going to happen. So I think I am personally a big fan of this because you're going to have a fantastic running game no matter what, and you're going to have not a bad passing game. So overall, this offense might not look too bad. Now, on top of having Jim Brown as a fullback, you're going to have another running back that is also a Hall of Famer, that has a 6-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time All-Pro. He's been an NFL champion, played for the Browns, pretty much the same era as Jim Brown. Playing from 1964 to 1973, being a fantastic running back that he is. Just overall, I mean, you just look at what he's been able to do. A guy that had the ability of running over 1,000 yards. Again, having Jim Brown and having Leroy Kelly in here. By the way, that's the running back. The running back is Leroy Kelly. Both of those guys, that's a powerhouse running game. That's a running attack. That's pretty much giving a lot of attention to detail on that front four, honestly, on a lot of other teams. Like, they got to be ready because Jim Brown and Leroy Kelly, they're going to bring it. And I think it's going to be very fun to watch. They're just two fantastic football players that, played their hearts out. And like I said, I believe that their running game is one of the strongest in this entire series that I'm doing. So I like it a lot. I think it will be very, very good. All right, the first wide receiver is going to be Paul Warfield. Warfield he's very known for being a Miami Dolphin. He was a part of 2 Super Bowls there. He played, 5 years there, but he is 8 years at Cleveland Browns. So he's going to be on this list as being one of the best receivers in Browns history. I mean, overall, he stacked up to have about pretty much almost 300 receptions there as a Brown, over 50 receiving touchdowns. Just overall, pretty great dude. A Hall of Famer, an 8-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time All-Pro, 1-time NFL champion, as well. Like I said, 2-time Super Bowl champion. I think he'll do some good things with Bernie Kosar. Again, he's not the best receiver ever, but I think he'll definitely do some good things for this team. So watch out for really for any of the corners that have to match up against these type of guys. I think he can be a game changer, honestly.
Okay, that's a bullshit.
All right, the other receiver is going to be Reggie Rucker. Reggie Rucker played for the Browns for 7 years, and he had about 300 plus receptions, about 30 plus receiving touchdowns. Had some rushing in there, not too much, but yeah, he was a pretty valuable receiver for this team. He played throughout the 70s and early 80s, so I mean, had a pretty good career overall. And honestly, Super Bowl champion. He was a Super Bowl champion from, pretty sure, that Dallas team. He was a Super Bowl champion with. But yeah, I just think he'll be valuable. But again, honestly, this is probably a big concern for me is the receiving core. I mean, if your 2 best receivers are Reggie Rucker and Paul Warfield, and they didn't really have that many receptions in their entire career, let alone with the Cleveland Browns, that's kind of an issue. Personally, I believe it's definitely going to be an issue. They're definitely going to be a run-first team. So we'll see, but they're going to need some help. All right, so tight end is one of the best tight ends of all time. And it's Ozzie Newsome, Hall of Famer, 3-time Pro Bowler, an All-Pro, a dominant force, and pretty much the big vocal leader that this Cleveland team needs, other than Jim Brown and Bernie out there. Honestly, I think this offense will roll around, giving the ball to the 2 backs, Brown and Leroy Kelly. Occasionally having Paul Warfield, having those, Rucker maybe. But honestly, I expect Ozzie Newsome being targeted a lot, which actually, in my honest opinion, I do believe he's going to get a lot of receptions. I mean, this is a guy that put up almost 700 receptions in his career. A guy that put over 7,000 receiving yards. Like, overall, this is a monster. This is a beast. And I think, like I said, it's going to get Rucker as well as Warfield open. It's going to create some good lanes for, of course, those 2 backs. I think Bernie's got at least one weapon that he can connect with Ozzie Newsome there. It gives you a better feeling of where they're going to go as a team. Left tackle, I would say one of the best of all time, Joe Thomas. Left tackle, just so loyal to the Cleveland Browns organization. A 10-time Pro Bowler, a 6-time All-Pro, and going to be a future Hall of Famer for sure. Now this is a guy that had just a tremendous amount of starts. I mean, at one point he had about what I think it was like 160, or sorry, he had 100. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had like 167 straight consecutive starts. It was incredible. The type of just like uniqueness of that. Like he was Iron Man. He was able to play every single snap, every single game. And unfortunately, until he broke it this year. But you're looking at a guy that's been there. That literally you barely will get. You will barely get through him. Like he is that type of player. He's nothing to mess with. He really is that guy that you want on that left side of the ball. Like that left side, that blind spot that Bernie really needs. That's Joe Thomas. I think Joe Thomas is going to bring some fantastic protection with him. So, at left guard, you're going to have John Wooten, which was a 2-time Pro Bowler and a 1-time NFL champion. Was a part of that, really solid Cleveland Browns team that won it. He was with Jim Brown, so he's got some connections there. Just a really, really good guard that's played 136 games. So, I think that's pretty solid. I think it'll be pretty entertaining to watch these both. All right, the center is going to be Tom DeLeon, 2-time Pro Bowler. He played pretty much 11 years in Cleveland, 2 years in Cincinnati from 72 to 73, and then he went to 1974 all the way to 1984 as part of the Browns. Definitely was not healthy, but I think he'll do some damage. I think he'll definitely be a pretty good fit to this line of the Browns. All right, right guard is going to be Robert Jackson. I'm sorry. A guy that was pretty excellent in Cleveland. Played in 160 games, started in 126, all with Cleveland. No Pro Bowls, nothing like that. But I think it's their best option. He's definitely been around the organization for a very long time. So, ins and outs and stuff. I don't know. I think he'll be an excellent offensive line guy. So, all right. Tackle Doug Deacon, 1-time Pro Bowler. Played all of his years in Cleveland. Started 194 games. Like he's a reliable guy. Him with Joe Thomas. I think that's fantastic. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this line. So this offense can definitely excel in some areas. Some areas will be questionable, but I think it'll be all right.